Microbes live with their host in symbiotic relationships, including mutualism, in which both members benefit, parasitism, in which a parasite benefits while the host is harmed, and more rarely commensalism, in which one member benefits while the other is relatively unaffected. Any parasite that causes disease is called a pathogen. Organisms called normal microbiota live in and on the body. Some of these microbes are resident, whereas others are transient. Opportunistic pathogens cause disease when the immune system is suppressed. When normal microbial antagonism or competition is affected by certain changes in the body, and when a member of the normal microbiota is introduced into an area of the body unusual for that microbe. Living and non-living continuous sources of infectious disease are called reservoirs of infection. Animal reservoirs harbor agents of zoonoses, which are diseases of animals that may spread to humans via direct contact with the animal or its waste products, or via an arthropod. Humans can be asymptomatic carriers, meaning they have no symptoms. Non-living reservoirs of infection include soil, water, and inanimate objects. Microbial contamination refers to the mere presence of microbes in or on the body or object. Microbial contaminants include harmless resident and transient members of the microbiota, as well as pathogens, which after a successful invasion cause an infection. Portals of entry of a pathogen into the body include skin, mucous membranes, and the placenta. These portals may be bypassed via the parenteral route, by which microbes are directly deposited into deeper tissues. Pathogens attach to cells, a process called adhesion, via a variety of structures or attachment protein called adhesion factors. Some bacteria and viruses lose the ability to make adhesion factors called adhesins and thereby become avirulent. Some bacteria interact to produce a sticky web of cells and polysaccharides called a biofilm that adheres to a surface. Disease, also known as morbidity, is a condition sufficiently adverse to interfere with normal functioning of the body. Symptoms are subjectively felt by a patient, whereas an outside observer can observe signs. A syndrome is a group of symptoms and signs that collectively characterizes a particular abnormal condition. Asymptomatic or subclinical infections may go unnoticed because of the absence of symptoms. Even though clinical tests might reveal signs of disease, etiology is the study of the cause of a disease. 19th century microbiologists proposed the germ theory of disease, and Robert Koch developed a series of essential conditions called Koch's postulates to prove the cause of infectious diseases. Certain circumstances can make the use of these postulates difficult or even impossible. Pathogenicity is a microorganism's ability to cause disease. Virulence is a measure of pathogenicity. Virulence factors such as adhesion factors, extracellular enzymes, toxins, and antiphagocytic factors affect the relative ability of a pathogen to infect and cause disease. Toxemia is the presence in the blood of poisons called toxins. Exotoxins are secreted by pathogens into their environment. Endotoxin, also known as lipid A, is released from the cell wall of a dead and dying gram-negative bacteria and can have fatal effects. Antitoxins are antibodies the host forms against toxins. The disease process. The stages of infectious disease typically consist of the incubation period, the prodromal period, illness, decline, and convalescence. Portals of exit, such as the nose, mouth, and urethra, allow pathogens to leave the body and are of interest in studying the spread of disease. Direct contact transmission of infectious diseases involves person-to-person spread by body contact. When pathogens are transmitted via inanimate objects or fomites, it is called indirect contact transmission. Droplet transmission occurs when pathogens travel less than 1 meter in droplets of mucus to a new host as a result of speaking, coughing, or sneezing. Vehicle transmission involves airborne, waterborne, and foodborne transmission. Aerosols are clouds of water droplets which travel more than 1 meter in airborne transmission. Fecal oral infection can result from sewage-contaminated drinking water or from ingesting fecal contaminants. Bodily fluid transmission is the spread of pathogens via blood, urine, saliva, or other fluids. Vectors transmit pathogens between hosts. Biological vectors are animals usually biting arthropods that serve as both host and vector pathogens. Mechanical vectors are not hosts to the pathogens they carry. There are various ways in which infectious disease may be grouped and studied. When grouped by time, course, and severity, disease may be described as acute, subacute, chronic, or latent. When an infectious disease comes either directly or indirectly from another host, it is considered a communicable disease. If a communicable disease is easily transmitted from a reservoir or patient, it is called a contagious disease. Non-communicable diseases arise either from outside of hosts or from normal microbiota. Epidemiology is the study of where and when diseases occur and how they are transmitted within populations. Epidemiologists track the incidence, number of new cases, and prevalence, total number of cases, of a disease and classify disease outbreaks as endemic, usually present, sporadic, occasionally present, epidemic, more cases than usual, or pandemic, an epidemic on more than one continent. Descriptive epidemiology is the careful recording of data concerning a disease. It often includes detection of the index case, the first case of the disease in a given area or population. Analytical epidemiology seeks to determine the probable cause of the disease. Experimental epidemiology involves testing a hypothesis resulting from analytical studies. Nosocomial infections and nosocomial diseases are acquired by patients or workers in healthcare facilities. They may be exogenous, acquired from the healthcare environment, endogenous, derived from normal microbiota that become opportunistic while in the hospital setting, or iatrogenic, induced by treatment or medical procedures.